So,
yeah, you did.
a little bit. And you told me a really funny story about how you really, really wanted to work for Trevor Sorbie.
Yeah.
Do you remember the story?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell everybody about it.
Right, okay. Well, it's going to take a while, right? Well, basically, when I got into hairdressing when I was about 14 years old. And the reason why I became a hairdresser was that I was inspired by the hair of Bo Derek in film 10. Remember those little braids? That's why braiding is very much part of my heritage. It's the first thing I taught it myself. And my father was a photographer. And you know, he's just retired actually. And I did my first photo shoot when I was 14. I still got the pictures. And so I did these braids, taught how to do it myself, whatever. Anyway, I was so inspired by textures, and I always have done. And then I realized that in Holland, you know, it's changed now, but at that time, I mean, we're talking 30-odd years ago, it wasn't really about creating a career in hairdressing, and I was very much a girl. If I'm going to do something, I want a career. I want to really become really good at something. So I knew that if I wanted to be the best at something, I had to move to England, because at the time, the best hairdressers in the world were in England. So then the hairdresser Trevor Sorbie caught my eye. He just won Hairdresser of the Year for the first time. And I thought, I need to go and work for that man. His team came over, I did a seminar, and then I realized when I saw these people on stage, I thought, that's what I want to do. So the person who organized the seminar at the time, he gave me the information on Trevor Sorbie, and I just flew to London. Here, 18 years old, didn't speak any English, like, hello, yeah, I live in a house with 4 windows. That was about all I could speak. And knocked on the door of Trevor Sorbie, and I said, I'd like to work here. And he did some haircuts, and he said, well, you can't really speak any English, so it's a bit difficult. So he sent me home. He sent me back to Holland. And I went, okay, fine, but I'm coming back. I'm going to come back when I can learn English, and I'm going to come back. So about 2 years later, or a year and a half later, I packed up all my stuff. I said to my mum and dad, I'm leaving, I'm going to work for Trevor Sorbie. I moved to London with no job, nothing. And I knocked on his door, and I said, I'm back. I said, and I'm staying. I don't care what it is, I'm staying. And he said, okay, you can stay here. We'll teach you, he said, because he was so blown away that I came back. He didn't expect that one. He said, we'll teach you. He said, I'm not going to pay you for the first month. You have to prove yourself. And then we'll let you do a test. We'll teach you, you do a test, and if you pass the test, you can stay. And if you don't pass, I'll send you back to Holland. So my parents, fortunately, could sponsor me and worked my butt off. Honestly. I cleaned the academy, I found the models outside Topshop, I mean, I did it all. And I think that's why I have a good eye for finding models. Because I stood every day outside till 11 o'clock at night looking for girls to have their hair cut for his academy. Anyway, so I passed my test. I ended up, and it was a great, I mean, Vivian McKinder was there, Eugene Solomon was there, Damien Carney was there, Kenny Franklin. Trevor had a real powerhouse of talent. He's very good at creating talent, and so I got retrained and passed my stylist test, and I was, 6 months later, went on the floor, instantly became a teacher. Because one of the things that because my English wasn't that good, I never quite understood when the hairdressers used to talk all this jargon. I'm going to graduate the backside underneath, all this kind of, hoo-ha talk. And being Dutch, quite straightforward person that I am, I kind of translated it into very simplistic language. And even still today, people say to me, when I teach, they understand it, even if I don't speak, because I explain it very simply, and that comes from those early days at Sorbie. So I became a teacher, and I started teaching my staff the basic haircuts, and then one day, I never forget, we went to Salon International, because Trevor used to do all the big shows, and he said, okay, you go on stage now. I'm like, whoa, never had any training. But, I had a good gop on my mouth, that's what they say in England. And went on stage, showed this technique, and he sent me to 4 different countries the following month. It was amazing. And then started traveling with him. I worked with him for 11 years. I mean, he ended up being my family. I mean, we came to Australia, everywhere we used to do shows. And I got to a point, I mean, did I win an award? Yeah, I won Avant-Garde Hairdresser of the Year. And I was nominated a couple of times for stuff. And then it got to a point where I couldn't go any further. A couple of companies started to, look at me, and I think once you win your first award, your name gets out there. And I thought, okay, I need to work for a company that hasn't necessarily got a person's name on the door. And I was also really into kind of like having shampoo with colour in it, and I'm always thinking of product ideas. So Aveda at that time was a brand new brand in England. and they were very editorial. All the editorial hairdressers always used to use Aveda. So I saw all the credits, you know, so-and-so using Aveda. And I thought, that's interesting, what is that all about? So then I started looking at the products and stuff, interesting. And then I got approached by George Hammer at the time, who was the distributor for UK. And he was opening a salon in Harvey Nichols. And he said, I need someone to head up that salon. Are you interested? No. Why not? Let's go and have a go. And then I met Horst. I'd never met Horst. I didn't even know who Horst was. Because Horst was obviously a huge name in America.
Yeah.
But in the UK, you know, well, hairdressers didn't know him at the time. I mean, I think the previous hairdressers knew him, but not my generation hairdressers knew him. So George put me in a room with Horst. Horst was shopping for talent. And I actually said, because I also used to work with Eugene Solomon for 12 years, I said, well, you're going to get anybody, get Eugene because he's brilliant, you know. And he goes, well, what about you? I said, what about me? And he goes, because I'm a bit mousy. He said, well, why don't you come to America? And I said, well, I don't know about that. So then he said, okay. And he said, why don't you come to America? I put you in my spa for 2 days and then you do a hair show. What he didn't know is that I'm a spa junkie, or at the time, I don't have time anymore, but I used to love going to spas, and that whole holistic side, that was really, like, still into that. So he you know, he pushed the right button. I said, okay, I'll come to America. So went to his spa in Osceola at the time. I had all the lovely Aveda treatments, and then I did a hair show, and I think it was Ginger Boyle at the time that said to Horst, don't let her go. And then I took on my, I think, you know, I started doing some shows, so I kept staying in England, but I used to travel quite a bit transatlantic and do shows for Aveda at the time, and that's kind of how the whole thing started, and fashion shows, and you know, winning more awards like London Hairdresser of the Year twice, then I won British Hairdresser of the Year, Fellowship Hairdresser of the Year, another time Fellowship Hairdresser of the Year. And Fellowship Hairdresser of the Year is when the industry chooses who they think should be hairdresser. So I was very lucky, and I mean, to be honest, I've been lucky. I've won a lot of awards. I don't remember all of them.
That was luck.
Well, hard work. I mean,
Yeah,
it's been truly, you know, 14, 16 hours a day. I mean, to do a career like what I'm going through, what I'm still in, it's not 9 to 5, you know, that's the reality. And you can't do it by yourself, and it just takes hours and hours of hard work. And
But
just
it's
keep
about
going.
passion.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
it's
And
about
I
passion
think
and
that's
love.
what keeps me going. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
45 years old next month. I've been doing hair since I was 14. I still love it. I'm still here, like, you know, clipping away and cutting hair, and I still love it. And I mean, what other job do you know where you can do that? I mean,
No, I mean, I always think that it's been interesting that hairdressers always knew what they wanted to do when they were really young.
Yeah.
I always found that fascinating.
Yeah.
Took me till I was 33 to figure it out, you know?
Wow.
Really did.
Well, and a good choice you
Once I
made as
started
well.
behind the chair, so that's when I found my purpose. But you know, it took me a long time to figure that out. So it's
And then,
interesting.
and then what I was very lucky with was that Dominique recognized, you know, Dominique Conseil of Aveda, the president, he recognized that you see, I'm very passionate about imagery. I think that if I nail it down, what is it, is imagery. Like, I like creating a look for a person, or for a picture, or for a show. I just find that whole thing very fascinating, putting all the things together. And I suppose it comes from my dad as a photographer. You know, it's that click, it's like that moment. That I think I live for that moment. Actually, I'm going to start doing some of my own pictures this summer.
Really?
Well, because I get frustrated if photographers don't give me what I want. So I'm going to just have a go at it. And maybe I'm totally crap at it, I don't know. But I'll have a go at it. And yeah, so then Dominique saw the vision. He said, well, if you can create that image that you're winning all these awards with, and it's published all over the world, you should do that for us. And I thought, brilliant. So he just threw me in the creative team. And I said, okay, I'm going to stop using every picture you've ever used. Honestly, they're afraid, they're like, ooh. And I'm like, we're going to stop using everything. We're going to start a whole new look. And that's what I started 5 years ago.
Yeah. Which definitely takes on so much more of the fashion look.
Yeah,
and everything.
because hair, to me, hair is fabric. It's the fabric of the body. And that's how you can express yourself. I mean, if you look back in history, the punks expressed themselves through, like, shaving their head because it was about anarchy. It was like their voice, you know. I mean, hair is a huge part of people's personality and how they want to be perceived. So it's all to do with, you know, and it's, you know, you can do so much with hair. Isn't that amazing? I mean, I'm still not tired about hair. It's such an amazing, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. It's such an amazing fabric that you can mold, shape, color, stretch, pull, curl. I mean, you can do anything with it. What else is out there that you can do that?